privilege to have you back in studio. Thank you for your time, Nico. This morning, talking about the reality of the Ukraine war and the impact, the economic impact on Russians.
Okay. Most people don't realize that there are, in fact, 6 wars ongoing right now. It is the one between Russia and Ukraine that is attracting the most media attention and the most attention from South Africans. And I thought what I'd like to do is to look at what is happening in Russia and what is happening to the Russian citizens. And this has come about because somebody yesterday on one of the Facebook groups said that the West is not doing anything, and that's simply not true. So this is what is happening to you if you were living in Russia. In the past couple of weeks, the exchange rate between the ruble and the dollar has collapsed to the tune of 40%. So if you are living in Russia and you are buying anything that is imported, whether it be a washing machine, a car, a stove, any device, any phone, then the price of that has gone up 40% in a couple of weeks because you are paying in rubles and you are importing in dollars. So that's the first impact if you are living in Russia. Now, Russia has billions of dollars in foreign exchange reserves, and they are held in dollars. But all of this money has been frozen by the West. So I want to imagine that you are a family and you've got R1 million lying in a bank. And suddenly you get a phone call from the bank, and the bank says that your money in the savings account has now been converted to a fixed deposit, and you can only get the money in 5 years' time. That's effectively what has happened. So all these billions of dollars that the Russian government has that were supposed to be used to pay for all their imports, they can't touch it. And there is no indication of when that money is going to become available. Now, if you are an individual and you have money in another part of the world, or you have money in a Russian bank, let's say you've just booked an overseas trip and you want to go and pay for your trip right now. Well, you've got to use your bank, and then you've got to transfer your money to another bank in order to pay for your trip. Now, banks, when they talk to each other, use a system called SWIFT. And without that SWIFT, they can't talk to each other. The West has cancelled the SWIFT numbers of Russian banks. So you may have money in a bank in Europe, but you can't get access to that money because the SWIFT numbers between your bank and the Russian banks have been cancelled. So you can't pay or even have access to your money. So not only do you not have access, your government has no access, you are now paying extra because everything has got to be paid for, and you don't have access to use your reserves to manage the prices. Now, in addition to that, the stock exchanges have crashed. And people have now mass sold off their shares. But now, having sold off, they can't actually do anything with their money. And this has caused very severe problems. Now, imagine if you have a pension fund, and your pension fund is held in stocks and shares. That has now crashed. So the amount of money you're going to get on a monthly basis is going to be impacted. So what Putin had to do was to find ways of trying to keep people's money in the banking system. So overnight, he changed the interest rate that they were getting on their investments from 9 to 20%. Now that sounds a bonus, but that means your home loan, your credit card, your car, the interest rate on that also went up from 9 to 20%. So how are you now going to pay for your home loan, your credit card? It has severe impact on you living in a country because of what Putin has done. You may not even be a supporter. A lot of the West buys Russian gas and they buy Russian oil. They've stopped buying it. Nobody is buying it. And that means the Russian government is not getting income. And so although it is producing vast amounts of oil and gas, it can't sell it. And so it's got to still pay for the cost of the war. And that means that cost is going to have to come from the Russian taxpayers. And so when the next budgets are announced, they are going to have to pay more. So it is not true to say the West is not doing anything. They are doing something, but they don't want to use direct troops, and so they're using economics instead. And we need to be aware that a lot of these citizens within Russia are as innocent as the people in the Ukraine. And unfortunately, often it's the leadership who create these wars and then don't actually take the consequences of them. Now, for those of us who are living in South Africa, we've been informed in all of our news bulletins that 141 nations condemned what Russia is doing. South Africa is one of those 35 nations that refuses to condemn what Russia is doing. And in doing so, we have thrown our Minister Pandor under the bus because we gave her an instruction to issue a statement, and when it came to the United Nations, we contradicted the statement we had given her. And unfortunately, we have to hold our government accountable. And I really suggest that we put pressure on our government to be more active. But we need to be sensitive that there are many, many innocent victims here.
As they say, there are no victors, no winners when it comes to war.
Nobody wins.
Nobody wins. Sure. Nico, thank you very much for that very real and helpful understanding of the situation.
Thank you.